Greetings in the love and light of the one infinite creator. I am Andrii, and joined today with Adam, Edward, Fred, and Bill. And we're going to be reading the October 26th, 2024 session. We already did part of it earlier, and so we're just going to be continuing. And it's going to be about spiritual growth, the body's wisdom, teachings on light, suffering, and transformation, as well as likely other topics as well. Okay, so let's get into it. Do I have a volunteer to read the Kuo part? Well, I'll read the question for now, and hopefully we'll develop a volunteer along the way. I have a query, Kuo. Is it correct to say that as we ascend further into higher levels of consciousness, that the physical vessel, that is our body, has difficulty or experiences physical suffering due to the holding of more and more light? And if so, what may be done to reduce the physical suffering? Or is the physical suffering a natural catalyst that occurs, causing the entity to seek further within itself? All right, Bill, take it away.
But you want me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We are those of Kuo, and we have received this query, my sister, and we thank you for its articulation and the examination that you have invested into this query, which is evident in its construction. Indeed, the physical vehicle, the yellow ray activated body, is that through which you manifest in your third density illusion. It is that which can be disregarded, debased, or controlled on one end, and that which, upon contact with the sacred dimensions of life, can be understood to be that holy temple through which the seeming you as the individual and the creator commune. You are at once greater than and beyond the body, but simultaneously inextricably intertwined with this vehicle. The balanced awareness of understanding that it is at once an outer garment of clay, which is not you, but is that which is you manifesting as a vehicle of learning, and as that which is to be respected, is an important balance for the spiritual seeker. As the vibrations increase, as the self, as you say, ascends, there may indeed be various impacts upon the body that manifest in unique ways for the unique individual, depending upon the catalyst, their pre-incarnational programming, and so forth. The body, as one of your authors has said, keeps the score, and that which has been experienced upon the journey, particularly that known to you as trauma, may be stored, so to speak, in various layers of the physical vehicle and energetic vehicles on a cellular level and outward, such that at the stage in the evolution, this trauma is kept compartmentalized and distant from the daily experience. But as the upward spiraling light of prana within the being increases, as the energy centers activate and open and receive this upward moving light, the self may and inevitably will come into contact with these fragmented and compartmentalized aspects of the self as they are stored in the body. Indeed, the body may become the field through which this inner drama becomes manifest and is experienced. This may be one symptom of this evolution of which you speak, whereby the body begins showing signs or showing symptoms or signs or indicators of that which is asking to be healed. And through the interface of the body, the hearkening to the clues within the symptoms, the seeking to understand the self and what might underline these patterns of the physical vehicle, and how one may heal and accept and relate to the body condition with respect, one may come into contact with that which was forgotten or repressed, or come into contact with that aspect of the self which is asking for reintegration and healing. And the self may perform this work. Other selves may find that old ways of dancing in and through the body, in and through your illusion, may no longer be compatible with the higher vibrations of love and honesty, and the sacred doorway which the seeker seeks. particularly those substances which are of a toxic nature to the body, or those which may cause changes in consciousness as you experience it. The sensitivities of the seeker are different. The needs of the seeker are different. This may be one particular way that the variance between the environmental inputs and the subtle energies may manifest. The self may also, through the body, discover the ability to transmute that which the body may find difficult on one level, but from a higher perspective can be seen for its deeper qualities as an expression of the Creator. And we appreciate the insight into the latter half of the question, our sister, as indeed, this is very much true from our perspective, that this suffering or these difficulties are not roadblocks put in the self's way upon the upward spiraling journey of the seeking the Creator, but are rather that which is instructive and informative to your growth, and indeed is a vehicle for manifesting and galvanizing and purifying that growth. Not every sensation that occurs within the body is signal. There is also, in terms of that which has bearing upon the spiritual journey, that which may be considered noise within the body. Thus, it is upon the seeker to discern the difference. It is by listening to the body that which it is communicating to the mind in its own upward reaching that the self may perform that which we call the disciplines of the personality, the knowing of the self, the accepting of the self, and the transcendence that leads to the becoming of the Creator. And in some other cases as well, the spiritual growth of the entity may manifest in a completely harmonious way with the body as the physical vehicle learns to adapt to new perspectives and higher energies and sing with harmony and joy as the self relates to and manifests through the body in new and inspired, loving, and forgiving ways. Whatever the case for this specific entity, whatever the case may be for the specific entity, the body is never at odds with the self, though the mind of the entity may develop such a relationship with its own body through resistance, rejection, suppression, and control, and so forth. The vehicle is manifesting that which has not been fully processed by the mind complex in order that the catalyst may be processed, that the body may serve as a mirror and a teaching instrument in that regard, that it too may be an expression of joy. Your vehicle is not dead matter or only a collection or arrangement of cells and organs and processes. It too is an expression of the one that, when loved, respected, brought into the heart, whatever its seeming outer state of health or non-health, may sing with praise and then thanksgiving for the one, whether the self is bound to the hospital bed or has the freedom of movement and dance. May we ask if there is a follow-up query to the question, our sister? We are there as Q. We are theirs a Q. No, I have no follow-up. Thank you much, Kuo. You're muted, Andrii, I think.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you, Bill. So what does anyone think about that? It seemed like it was about the physical body and how physical body has messages for us, and this catalyst that we're processing.
But I think it points more towards what they were saying about the disciplines of the personality. The physical manifestations, although they're kind of what they were hinting at, is not every physical thing is just something spiritual, but when it is, it's pointing to something that needs to go through the healing, integrating, and acceptance process of the disciplines of the personality. Now, my my kind of, I don't know, it would even be a question, but it may be observation that might be incorrect, is that when I see someone that maybe something could have triggered them, or, something that bothers someone, when they exhibit, you know, self-control and forgiveness and acceptance, and not so much tolerance. I don't want to say tolerate incompatible behavior, but they're at least understanding of it from a perspective that seems like the person doing this doesn't understand what they're doing. It's not going to trigger me because I've integrated this and I've accepted it, and it's not it's not something that's going to affect me negatively. So if it's something that is continuing, I just remove myself from the situation. If I can't remove myself from the situation, then maybe, it needs to be handled a little bit differently. But when you see somebody do that, that's kind of an indication to me that they have gone through those disciplines of the personality where they've worked through those triggers and worked through shadow. I guess you would call it shadow work. Is that a pretty good analysis of analyzing that, or do you disagree?
I see Ed's nodding his head. Ed, did you want to comment?
Well, I always do like the ones where they address, various ways of having fun and connecting aren't normally accepted. It said about the whole kind of that we're this midpoint between where we can debase and destroy the body, but also it is our temple. And so for me, this whole idea of kind of seeking via more shamanic processes, I've always seen that as a very kind of noble and kind of I don't know, worthy destruction of the body, because of the fact that it allowed me to open the gates of the temple, as it were. So, all of that is said in there, like, and we've all got our own path. We've all got our own way of getting there. We'll need to go through whatever step we need to go through to open those doors, to learn those lessons, because it all comes down to pre-incarnative choice, what the body we have. And it doesn't matter how smashed it is, doesn't matter how bad it's got, doesn't matter what it is. Know that, we've done all these things to ourselves. We've lived a certain way because we needed to. So, praise the creator inside and understand that, everything that we've gone through in this incarnation was a necessary steps towards growth, towards learning, towards seeing the creator in all things, including ourselves, I suppose. Like Fred was saying about doing the work on the personality, getting that yellow ray to kind of understand what it is on a bigger sense. Yeah, that's what I took from it anyway. Love quote, well read. Well read, by the way, dude.
Yeah. Bill, did you have any commentary on
it? Just that your body can go through trauma, and because of that trauma, it can physically change your body, and your mind might become disconnected to kind of the reality of I would say ontological stuff, but it's never the body isn't disconnected. It's just the mind, and it's the mind that kind of needs the healing, and ultimately it needs to process the catalyst that caused the trauma, and nothing is right or wrong in this process. It's just what people go through. And ultimately, like Fred was saying, it's just a way to learn and know. It's just another thing to experience in this lifetime. And hopefully you can come full circle and know that you're the creator and everything else is the creator.
Thanks, Bill. Adam, what do you want to add?
I think at the beginning of this, they were talking about things ingested or poisons that come into the body. Does that ring a bell? I don't think I have the words right, but it was just, I felt like there was something that was ingested that
Toxic.
caused
Okay.
these issues.
Here. Other cells.
Intoxication.
Here, hold on a second. Okay, I found it. Other cells may find that old ways of dancing in and through the body, in and through your illusion, may no longer be compatible with the high vibrations of love and honesty and the sacred doorway which the seeker seeks, particularly those substances which are of a toxic nature to the body, or those which may cause changes in consciousness as you experience it. The sensitivities of the seeker are different, the needs of the seeker are different. This may be one particular way that this variance between the environmental inputs and the subtle energies may manifest. So I think like alcohol, for example.
Oh, I thought it was like jumping on a trampoline or dancing all at once when you're not used to it. You're going to get sick. You get like flu-like symptoms. You know what I mean? Maybe that you just get to a point in your life where you don't do that anymore. Or
maybe. I mean, it's kind of like that. But here, I'll read some of the key quotes, and it's
Yeah, Adam, it's called getting old.
getting old. Yeah. Well, I'll just read some of the key quotes. You guys touched on this already. The physical body is not merely an outer garment of clay, but a holy temple through which the Creator commutes with you. And trauma stored in the body manifests as physical symptoms when brought to light during spiritual growth. It often signals repressed or compartmentalized experiences asking for healing. Suffering is not an obstacle, but a vehicle for growth, manifesting and purifying your spiritual journey. Challenges are opportunities to engage deeply with the self and evolve. It's upon the seeker to discern between the body signal and noise, interpreting symptoms as lessons of the mind, body, and spirit. Engage in the disciplines of knowing, accepting, and transcending the self. Old patterns and substances incompatible with higher energies may need to be released as the body adjusts to new vibrations. Sensitivity to toxins and need for harmony increase with ascension. The body and joyful expression. When loved and respected, the body, regardless of its state, can become an expression of joy and a vessel for praise and thanksgiving.
what kind of toxins do you think it's talking about, though? Like
Well,
mushrooms?
I think that
food?
it's I think that it's talking about, like alcohol, like toxic, intoxicated. If you're intoxicated,
Well, why do you say that? It couldn't toxic mean so many other things than
it could.
alcohol?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe some people are sniffing lacquer or something. I don't know. I don't know exactly. I think it depends. Everyone has to use their own discernment. If something isn't resonating with them anymore, maybe for a long time, like I know David Wilcock was, for example, saying that, for a long time he was a cannabis addict. And then he eventually decided that it wasn't in alignment with his spiritual journey, and he stopped. So that's an example. But everyone has their own journey, and the Confederation is very respectful of free will. So he says the needs of the seekers are different, and this may be in particular where the variance between environmental inputs and subtle energies may manifest. Maybe for some people, they're doing like opiates or something that are interfering with their cognition. I don't know. But it depends on people. Mm-hmm.
What about for you, Andrii?
For me,
what's toxic that's in your life, or that you're ingesting or consuming that's in the body?
Well, I think that this is an example. But for example, like for me, eating, I know that eating white bread from the store, or eating bread from the store, usually has lots of glyphosates, and that gives me a bellyache. So now we buy organic flour because and then we make our own bread. And so then I don't get bellyaches. There you go. Go ahead, Fred.
Can that also be applied to toxic people?
I mean, maybe.
I think it's talking about the body, though.
But it is talking about the body. You're right, Adam. Mm-hmm.
It affects your body.
Okay, well, I personally feel like if you have enough love, kindness, energy, and you're really high vibration, then those toxic people won't want to be around you and they'll just leave.
Yeah, you're exactly right. But in order to get to that point, you have to accept and love and forgive a lot in order to have that exhibited in your, disciplines of the personality that cause that effect.
Yeah. Mhm.
Also, the main issue with that, like Andre said, is you push them away. Which is why I'm always alone, man. It sucks.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but you always
Well,
but, but you always should remember that those other toxic beings are the creator as well.
Yes.
So that's the whole trick to this thing. It's
Mhm.
like if you have an enemy, right, and you say, "Oh, that being, person, or whatever is an enemy of mine," what you're really saying is that embodiment of the creator is my enemy. Or you can actually say, "The creator is my enemy." That's why you kind of need to. It's just a perspective.
right. But also, when you integrate those things properly and you're introduced to those people, now I'm necessarily saying enemy, but I'm talking about people that I was friends with, that after going through all of these processes and finding out that I'm not going to put up with you lying to me. I'm not going to put up with you, saying these things, whether they're sexist or racist or whatever. And I'm going to say something in a loving way, but I'm probably going to make you so uncomfortable that you're not going to want to have conversations with me. You're not going to want to hang out with me. You're not going to want to go places with me. You're not going to want to be around me. And that's exactly what has happened to me. That's what's happened to me. They've pushed themselves away. I don't have to do any removing. They remove themselves.
I mean, creating healthy boundaries is always, your right, your free will. But just remember that it's all the creator.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's not that
It's just where we are at this moment. It's the paradox of third density, living in that kind of situation. It's like they said, the paradoxes aren't going to be, uh, you know, uh, uh, balanced here or whatever. There's some things that just aren't going to happen in third density, but we can be aware and have a perspective. We can see the big picture, which I think is what the Confederation is trying to instill in us.
So I just wanted to add that it's not just that aspect of the creator, but it's also my reflection. That part of my reflection is something I don't like. And so, from my
Oh,
perspective,
you mean the mirror effect?
yes, exactly. So everything outside of us is the creator, and we are the creator. So everything outside of us is a reflection, and so
Right.
we need to learn to forgive, love, and be kind to what's outside of us and inside of us, in order for healing to happen for the whole world. And so, yeah, and I agree with you, Fred. Like that, if it comes from a place where you're just growing and you're raising your vibration, and then you're no longer resonating with those people, that and they just drift away, and that happens, and that's fine. That's kind of like the natural way. They have to choose themselves who they resonate with, and you can choose which meetings you're going to and which people you're choosing to hang out with, based on your vibration.
Yeah, you'll just have nothing in common with them, and
Well, exactly. You want to.
it'll be a natural separation. But
Yeah.
Exactly.
remember that the separation is just illusory
Yeah.
and not forever.
Right. Eventually, they too will become enlightened.
All right.
Whether it's in this lifetime or in 100 million years, we don't know.
I've even had friends that are like into law of one, and I thought like, oh, these people are the best. I would never lose a law of one friend, but some people are just on different paths and they're not into the same, level of consciousness that you are, and you just go your separate ways. Some people, they just want to talk, and you want to talk and do, and if that's not mixing, then you're not going to have a healthy relationship. So there's no point.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta find your tribe, man.
Yeah. Okay. So we actually have a follow-up to the previous query. May I ask a follow-up to the previous query? As I understand, the physical vehicle can be an instrument to teach the self. Are there also larger agreements in terms of the physical vehicle being a teacher for another self? Perhaps in a situation where two selves are in a dynamic where one takes care of the other, and so the original physical vehicle is ultimately an instrument for the other self and not the self inhabiting the vehicle. Go ahead, Bill.
I am Kuo and aware of your query, my sister. Indeed, this is a situation which many of your third density entities find themselves in. There are relationships that are of various families where there is the need to care for that one that is, shall we say, suffering a sickness or an illness, so that physical vehicle that is suffering the illness allows the caretaker to perform a service that cares for the one that needs to have done those things that cannot be done by the self, since the physical vehicle has been in some manner disabled. There are so many of these types of relationships upon your planet at this time that it is basically one of the primary ways that people may learn how to give love and care and understanding without any type of giving back any relationship that is so dependent upon another. This is the way that the one who is suffering can accept the love offerings of another and provide that service of being able to accept them so that they may learn more about accepting love, when perhaps in a previous portion of their life, they were engaged in giving that type of love to another and learning the lessons of giving without expectation of return. There are so many that have these bodies for that specific reason that go through various stages of health and disease, so that there is the opportunity to give, to accept, to give, to accept, back and forth. This is the way which much love and understanding may be achieved between the two who are engaged in such a relationship. Is there a further query, my sister?
No, thank you, Kuo.
No, thank
All right. Thanks. And so, what do you guys think of that?
that one's pretty self-explanatory,
Fair enough. Yeah.
and a lot of times, what's kind of sad
Hey,
about
Josh.
that last quote, well, in my view, is that our society have monetized taking care of suffering people, and a lot of times, like family members and other people, because when somebody's suffering, it's really an opportunity to serve. And not only you have the opportunity to serve, and you serve without, hey Josh, you serve without expectations. You in turn can see perhaps in the future that you'll be that person that's suffering, and you can offer service to another, and accept that service too. Like I said, to give, receive, give, receive. You learn on both ends.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Very good. Yes. Yeah. Did anyone else have any comments on that? Let's say hi to Josh. Hey, Josh. Good to see you. How are you doing? Do you want to
Hey
say
everyone,
something? Hey.
doing good. Good to see you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We were just reading the October 26th session, and then it was just talking about how people, there's many relationships where there's a person who's disabled, and then a person is taking care of them. And then apparently this often leads to the reciprocal, where then the caretaker becomes disabled and someone else takes care of them, and not necessarily in the same lifetime, but they get to experience both giving and receiving that way in the long term. And so, yeah, and then Bill made some great points, like how our society is not allowing this to happen sometimes because, say, they're putting old people into long-term care. And so, for instance, they were taking care of their children, but now their children don't have an opportunity to take care of them. And so, it kind of creates somewhat of an imbalance.
And even people not being able to take care of their children because they got to go work.
Yes.
It's
Mm-hmm. All right. So I guess if we've plumbed that one, no one else has. Oh, Edward. Go ahead, Edward.
Okay, so I was going to say that, like, I always felt like I've had a problem with, like, pathological giving. Like, I've never really known when to stop. When someone's taking a piss, it's kind of give and give and give until it's kind of hurting me. But as you guys know, kind of have struggles with kind of depression and things, and I have ups and downs in my emotional well-being, and I found that of recent times there has been a real kind of I don't know, synchronistic kind of push for me to learn how to receive. How to learn how to kind of, instead of just give and just give and give and give until I'm all burnt out, learn how to stop giving and understand that I need to receive help, that I need to receive love, that I need to get over that urge to white knight until I fall off my horse, and to realize that I need help sometimes, and I need to receive that love and that support. So I've kind of been through that whole cycle very recently, and I actually look forward to being able to help and return that love and compassion back again. But I'm learning to accept it too. So
Excellent, Ed. Yeah, I agree. Also, I had a similar experience in my life. I know one time, it was last March break actually, where I don't know why, but often get sick during the holidays, and so I have downtime there, so I can't really enjoy the vacations. But what happened last March break was that it was the Friday, I pulled my arm or something, and I couldn't move my right arm, for the whole week, and so I was just laying in bed, and I was reading about it, and it was saying that the reason for it, for a right arm and right shoulder and stuff, is bearing too many of your own burdens and not asking for help. And so I went and I asked for prayers on Facebook and stuff like this, and so I asked for help and for my family and stuff like that, and they got better. And so hey, there is definitely room for receiving as well as giving.
Does that also apply when you hurt your elbow?
So yeah, the elbows are often to do with how much you here, I don't know if this will show, expand, how much you're willing to love and hug people. And so if there's, say, a group or a person that you are having trouble forgiving and loving, then this could lead to elbow problems. At least in my experience, for example, I knew a pastor who was, he had us, he kind of looked and sounded like he was a little bit homosexual, but he was a raging anti-homosexual. He really hated homosexual people, and he would
so basically he probably was then, to be fair.
Well, he had a wife and several kids, but
yeah, but he probably was.
Maybe. Yeah.
My ex mother-in-law is remarried to a woman.
Wow.
It
Well,
don't matter.
Yeah.
Some of the there's gay men that are married to some of the most beautiful actresses and models there is. They're
Yeah.
gay.
Yeah. Fair
It's
enough.
accepting yourself. People sometimes people go to the extreme to try and prove the opposite when it's not true.
It's true. And I never had a problem with him, but I was like, Jesus told us to forgive and love our neighbors, and our enemies. And so like, and, but he just wasn't having it.
Wait a second, isn't there a bit in the Bible where Jesus is like chatting to some guy? I can't remember. I swear when I was reading, I was like, what? How have I not heard this before? And the guy comes over and basically says like, hey, Jesus, like, and I'm a dude, but do you want to like, go bed? And he's like, no, I'm not really into that, dude. Feel free to go do what you want to do, but yeah, I don't really bat that way. And it's kind of like, that's how the conversation, I can't remember what it was.
I don't know, you're going to have to look that up. I haven't heard that one.
Absolutely no issue with gays. He's got no problem with it whatsoever.
Well, I agree.
He's like, yeah, you go do what you don't do, man. Love who you love, right? I'm just not into that. I was like, how am I not read? I'm going to have to find it, right? But there is a bit in there where Jesus is like, I'm totally fine with gays. You crack on, mate. It's just not my thing.
But anyways, so like, when I first showed up to that church, like the first service that I went to, they would say various minority groups, and then they would like scream and rage. Like abortionists, gays, It was funny. Well, I mean, in retrospect, they stopped doing that after I had a talk with them. But anyway, so that summer,
war, Andrii. War.
That summer, what do you call it? His kids were playing on a skateboard, and they're like, "Hey, you want to try the skateboard?" And so they got on the skateboard, and he got on the skateboard, and then like almost immediately he fell over. And his entire left elbow completely shattered, and they had to replace it with titanium because there wasn't enough bits of bone left for it to heal. And so, anyways, he had to, and then he had his kids like stretch out because he couldn't unbend his arm on his own. He had to get his kids to help him open his arm. So it's very symbolic stuff, and hopefully he's more loving. Apparently some of his rage had gotten so intense he had gotten into trouble with the police or something, and he was talking to me about whether he should go to jail over his rage, and I was like, Jesus told us to forgive and love people. You're not supposed to be upset and angry. So anyways, he's not
when the priest is out punching people and doing it in his arm, punching people in the head, and he's got to go to prison
with his titanium elbow. Yeah. Anyhow, okay. So
there's a lot of projecting going on with people. That's why you really need to. Well, the advanced seeker knows about the mirror effect, because when they see other people doing stuff that they get really angry about, then they can look at themselves and go, am I really angry about that because I see that in myself? Am I projecting? And that's when you get into this more and more, the self-evaluation and looking at oneself is real important. And a lot of that has to do with processing catalysts, because like with the guy you're talking about, Andrii, he's probably got a shitload, a tidal wave of catalysts he's never processed. And he probably doesn't know how to process.
He's totally gay.
He could be.
Who knows?
Very angry at himself.
Anyways, it doesn't matter. Forgive and love him unconditionally.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We shouldn't even be judging him like that. But I would say that there's a lot of times that happens. It's lack of process catalyst that puts people in that position.
Mm-hmm.
With the whole mirror thing, I heard something earlier that really blew my mind. It was like, you got you've got the image, you've got you, yeah, right, and then you've got the reflected image. Mm-hmm. Now, inside you is you, but the outside world is the reflected image. Now, you can't change the reflection in any way without changing the image. So
Yes.
you are the only thing in the entire world that can change what is reflected in the mirror. The mirror will never change. It is what it is. It is the reflection. Right?
Yes.
The only way to change that reflection that you see is by changing the self that is reflected.
Yes.
Yeah, and the reflection, what you're looking at is with other people is their behavior, and so what you're doing is you're changing your perspective on how you're looking at that behavior. You're becoming more accepting of that behavior because hey, I hate that guy or hate that serial killer or whatever, but shit, maybe I got that in me, and that's what it's all about, is because, we're as much as we're Hitler and Mao Tse-tung and Genghis Khan, we're Jesus and Krishna and, Muhammad, Gandhi or whatever, so, and everything in between. So that's what we're trying to figure out here and accept.
For sure.
I
All
have
right.
to say, when you find that you do kind of live by that way of acceptance and kind of like trying to love rather than, feel negatively towards others, it actually kind of becomes quite hard to find things that I hate. I don't know about you guys. I have things that make me frustrated, make things that make me go whatever else. But that kind of actual outward hate, there's so much judgment and there's so much kind of like attached to that I don't have anymore. So
yeah,
I don't know. I can't even remember what hate feels like. I don't know about you guys, but
yeah, I would dare say when you're at that point, you're actually spiritually evolving, at least to the service to others path.
Mm-hmm.
Because the key parts of the service to others path is love and acceptance. You got love and acceptance, and then separation and control. The duality. So what are you doing?
it's all about heart chakra, man.
Yeah, because ultimately, everything other people do, why is it bothering you unless they're like beating the crap out of you or something or throwing your ass in jail or whatever or completely manipulating?
Hey,
but even
let me say this, because this just happened to me today, and this kind of sounds like what Bill's described with the mirror and everything reflecting back to you. Okay, incident at work today. Guy I work with, on his own, I don't know why, and he does this, started tearing apart a machine to repair a bearing in it. The guy knows nothing what he's doing. I wouldn't ask him to repair my doghouse, okay? And he started tearing apart this machine this week, and he's had it apart for like 3 days.
Oh, no.
And today he comes up to me. We were doing something. We were moving parts, and he says, "Hey, do you know how to test torque on a motor with your wire thingy?" So what the hell are you talking about? He's like, "That wire tester thingy you have, is it telling you how to test torque and how to tell torque?" And I said, "Well, you can't test torque with a multimeter."
Yeah.
And he's like, well, maybe I don't mean torque. I don't mean torque. I said, "You don't even know what you're asking me."
Yeah.
I said, if I knew how to rebuild a 480 volt 3-phase motor and do the bearings in it, I would be working at Berger Electric, not Batista Granite. And he just goes, all right, well, you can't help me. Well, I was very nice to him, but I know what happened because I saw what was going on. He screwed it up. He screwed up the motor. And he's looking to get someone else involved so he can scapegoat them. I know what he's doing. I don't hate him. I'm not angry at him. I know how he behaves. I accept it. I completely averted the situation by being logical, reasonable, and calm and collected.
Amen.
And just, say, you don't even know what you're asking me. You don't even know what I don't know what you're asking me. I'm not going to agree to something that you're obviously confused on what you're even wanting. So it diffused the situation, and he went back to beating on a motor with a hammer. So You know, I don't know if, because what you could have done is viewed it as, oh, you're being an asshole to me, and I'm going to be an asshole back to you. Well, that's totally the wrong way of handling it. That's, you know, just a completely different way of handling it because of where you're coming from with what you are presenting to that mirror.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And well, it just so happens actually I have one of my pastors runs an electric motor company, electric motor repair shop. So, but unfortunately it's in Canada, so he won't be able to help you. But yeah.
I once built like a 24,000 RPM centrifuge out of an old hard drive down one of them triple motor things. I had to go and learn how to take the thing apart, put it all back together, then power it through an Arduino controller. It's quite cool, man. But like, yeah, that's a piece of equipment that most people are like, no, you need to go out and buy some huge bit of equipment. It costs loads of money. I'm like, whatever, dude. I'll hack that.
Cool. All right. Are we guys ready for the next question? Hey, Anthony. Good to see you. Yeah. Are you good at reading, Anthony? Or
I am, but I'm about to go get my
oh, okay.
son from
All right.
the last soccer game. So I'm happy to read, but
Okay, that's fine. We'll get Bill to read some more. All right. Where is it? Okay, there it is. I have a question. We recently went through session 42 in the Law of One, and it was the discussion of love and wisdom. And so, in this discussion about the body, illness, others, etc., can you add anything about how does wisdom come in with love?
I am cool, and I'm aware of your query, my sister. The love is the foundation stone, shall we say, upon which the relationship between the two entities is built through a period of interaction according to the needs of each, the skills of each, the desires of each. There is then the multifaceted interaction on various levels that include the heart and the mind, and these interactions become that which produce what you would call wisdom. The light that shines from a higher perspective, shall we say, and shows how the love has been the primary feature that holds each together with the other. And yet, over a period of time, then, the relationship evolves so that each can see how the light, the wisdom is. That which can refine love, can make it more, shall we say, active and perceivable, more ability to learn a lesson that goes into what you may call the higher centers of energy, so that there are layers of understanding that may be produced by such interactions. Is there a further query, my sister?
No, thank you. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what they said. Ed, go ahead.
This is one of my favorite bits of the whole Law of One thing. You know,
Okay.
the whole love, wisdom, power triangle. Yeah, because it represents the bit at the top of the Hermetic tree. Yeah, so right at the very top of the Hermetic tree, you've got, you know, Kether right at the top, then you've got Binah and Chokmah. You know, that is love, wisdom, power. Right? And the interaction between those three is basically the duality between them two, power and wisdom, is the kind of the backwards and forwards oscillation, and then love being, like they said, like you could say it's a foundation stone, you know, but the actual kind of the central point that those things spring from, to oscillate from, if you know what I mean. So if you think of like love as the thing that teaches the lessons, yeah, power or knowledge being the force that you use, yeah, and then via the experience of force or power and love, you gain experience. Yeah, that experience then leads you to wisdom. So then you've got the triangle at the top, where you've got, you know, the love comes down the center point, yeah, which makes the tree of life or whatever, yeah. But then you've got the the understand the wisdom part, the bit where you actually know because you've experienced and you've used the power and the knowledge that you have via whatever process of understanding, you learn the lessons of love that then gives you wisdom. So then you've got this triangle that each part is directly related to each other. You can't really have wisdom without having knowledge or power. There's no way of understanding what wisdom is because you haven't experienced those things, right? And if you just have pure power on its own, then basically you're evil, man. That's what makes a tyrant, right? So you need to have the power, yeah, balanced with love to give you understanding of how to wield that power, which is what wisdom is essentially is. Anyway, that's like I said, one of my favorite little kind of micro bits of it. So to apologize about my little blah, but all fits in perfectly to what they were saying.
You're getting much better at staying on topic and things like that, Ed. Remarkable. And okay, so love is the cornerstone, the energy that binds and nurtures the relationship through shared needs, skills, and desires. Wisdom acts as light, shining from a higher perspective to refine love, making it active and perceivable. Over time, relationships evolve as love and wisdom interplay, creating deeper levels of understanding. These layers of growth foster spiritual maturity, allowing both individuals to align with their higher selves. Interactions that engage both the heart and mind lead to higher centers of energy and broader comprehensions. And then wisdom reveals the lessons within love, helping seekers navigate challenges and uncover growth opportunities. By viewing relationship through wisdom's light, seekers see each interaction as a chance to expand spiritually. So the balance helps love transform love into a tool for both emotional fulfillment and intellectual insight. Love is the glue that holds, wisdom is the light that reveals. Yeah, that's a good one. Wow. It's amazing that like once it's unpacked, it's so full, so rich. Through the interplay of heart and mind, love transforms into a radiant force for spiritual evolution. Wisdom teaches us how to love actively, consciously, and with purpose, deepening the lessons of connections. Yeah, so it's this wisdom is kind of like my understanding. It reminds me of the Confederation, where the reason that we were given, wisdom and understanding is that so we could be grateful and at least have a better understanding of all that we've been given by the Creator. It is not so that we can make up our plans for how to do things, but rather just so that we're aware of how glorious it all is, how amazing it all is. So
that can also be said for the service to a self path. Like that idea that if you go towards wisdom, right to the other end of wisdom, then every single part that you are just this infinitely incredible part of Creator. Yeah. Whereas if you go the other end of that line, you go away from understanding, you go away from the love part. Yeah. Then you end up at raw power, which is essentially the ideal point for service to self.
Mm-hmm.
So that line down the middle of what love represents is that line. That's why there's always a polarity away from love. It doesn't matter which direction you go, love is that central point in the middle. So the further you go towards that negative pillar, towards power, towards strength and knowledge, dominate, whatever else, that is away from love, right? Whereas if you go on that same line towards love, the thing that you end up at is wisdom.
Well, can I just maybe
Go ahead, Anthony.
Add different facet to that? I would say that I completely agree with the negative part, but I would say that the negative uses love too. It's just love for itself. And they
Right.
understand with wisdom that they are the creator, but they think they're a better version of the creator. They know that we all are the creator, but they're Thanos. They're better than us. In Marvels, it's like you have the privilege to die at the hands of Thanos, right? It's that type of mentality that his wisdom and his abilities are what will put the universe in order. And so they feel righteous, and they feel, I would imagine, they feel righteous and then dignified in what they're doing. And we, the lesser gods, we should be grateful for such a wise incarnation of the Creator, right?
Good point. Good point. Yeah, like the Confederation often says, that the Orion Empire is about bringing order and meaning to creation, and the service to other sides is about loving and accepting the creation. And so on the service to self path, they actually keep their heart closed. And so they're actually, what they do is in third density service to self polarized people, they're not even working so much on wisdom as they are on intuition. So they're instead of opening the heart chakra, they open their third eye. And then they use that in the intuitions they've gained from that to take advantage of other people, because they can foresee things before they happen and things like that. Ed, go ahead.
I was just going to say also to the fifth too as well. They, they springboard and control their personalities, their energy, all of those things, and jump over the heart because they find it to be folly. To outwardly give energy is folly on that side. I should be only absorbing it. It should be me. It should be me. It should be me. And then blue, they use that to communicate and to exert power, because blue is the first one where energy can go out and can be accepted through communication. And then you're absolutely right. It's definitely intuition. But I think Ra says that intuition for them on that side is much longer coming. It takes much more work and much more effort on the negative path in order to build that type of intuition. You rely so much on wisdom. You plan and plan. Like, you have 4 cars because in case the one breaks down in the midst of a heist or something like that, you have all these different contingencies.
Rod does mention that it's difficult because they have to skip, but they don't skip to wisdom. They skip to intuition. They skip to the indigo ray, and then basically how I understand it. Well, of course, there's always exceptions, and you can develop all your chakras at any time. But the general trend is that the main crux of fourth density service to self is expanding on indigo ray and the intuitive abilities. So whereas fourth density service to others is expanding on the heart chakra. And so they're expanding 2 different chakras. And then in fifth density, they're both expanding on the wisdom chakra. And then in sixth density, they do what's left over. So in sixth density, the service to others are working on intuition. And in sixth density, the service to self are working on the heart. All right. So, okay, Ed, go ahead.
I was going to get my little hermetic tree picture, but it's all good. So this whole thing, one of the things I love about the Ra material is it ties that whole your tree of life structure perfectly. And this whole thing we're talking about is actually described in that. So what you're talking about, Andrii, is Dath being activated, which is the third eye chakra. Yeah, right. That is essentially the path. If you look at how the tree's set up to the human body's kind of, torus field or whatever, yeah, then the Kether being up here, the source of the light coming down, and so for whatever else. Then you've got, the pillars being either side, and you've got wisdom and power. Yeah, I'm trying to do it so it's the right way for you guys to see. Right, so you've got the top of the tree, right? But then all of what you were talking about, all the kind of the battles and whether the heart chakra is activated, because the heart chakra is the sun, which is right in the center. There's lots of paths around the sun. Yeah, you can do it lots of other ways. Yeah, to go around the sun. You can go from love straight up this side, but then you've got the Hierophant there, which connects you up to wisdom. So you've got all these different paths. Yeah, but the point is, whichever way you go, you're either going to be one side of that polarity. Right? When you get to, the opening the third eye chakra, yeah, would be the next step up from, if you bisected the heart chakra and you went up to the throat and then third eye. The throat can be used positively or negatively for talking. And the third eye, essentially just powered by ego, would only expand what that person knows, right? And then what we're talking about love, yeah? The whole point of service to self is that all of that love is focused inwards on love for the self. You know, like the whole, the collapse in the polarity comes when they realize that even if they're loving themselves, they're still loving Creator, because we all are. So the whole thing collapses. That's when you get to the balancing wisdom part.
Mhm. Yeah, well, my understanding, at least from because I've read that passage several times, and what happens is that they simply have nowhere to progress. They have fully developed their red, orange, yellow, indigo, blue, and so it's fully developed. And there's the only chakra left to develop is the green. And then when they're like, "This is the only thing I have left to develop. This is the only way I can get more powerful." And then once they start activating their heart chakra, they switch to the service to others polarity. All right. So let's.
Can I just say, though, that
Okay.
right there, what you just described,
Mhm.
is that choice from power to wisdom.
Or from power to love.
No. Power to wisdom via love. Love is the
Oh,
thing
okay,
that
okay.
teaches them the lessons.
Uh-huh. Okay. Bill? Okay.
Yep.
Did you want to say something,
So we're
or did we? Are you ready for reading?
oh, no, I'm good.
Okay. All right. So yes, cool. I have a question. In recent months, weeks and months, I've noted a growing number of astrologers as well as channels have been discussing the predicting coming of what they say is a bright flash that will happen on the Earth within imminent times, out to maybe 2 to 3 years in the future. And that flash describes a lifting of humanity to a high vibration level. I was wondering if you can comment on this.
I'm cool, and I'm aware of your query, my brother. We find that there are various types of being able to look into what you would call your future experience to see the possibilities at rest there if certain conditions are continued as they are at the present time. We are aware that even those of Ra spoke of the possibility of such a flash as you have described it. If a population could tune together in such ways as to produce enough love and light that the choice of service to others could be made immediately, then the planet could be moved into the fourth density of love and understanding. We
Wow.
find that there are various features to this type of prediction that sees layers of possibility according to the interaction of the population of your planet. This type of interaction is one which, at the present moment, is somewhat confused and melded together in difficulties and tragedies and warfare of one kind or another, misunderstandings and miscommunications with communities, within nations, and so forth. There is so much volatility within the population of your planet Earth that it is difficult to make a prediction of this kind. Although some are able to see a picture that is drawn upon the stars, that may be a possibility. And in the future, it may happen, but we cannot say that it will happen, for there is not enough, shall we say, evidence or information of interactions among your peoples to allow this to happen in a predictable way. Is there a further query, my brother?
Nothing.
And I'm assuming he's talking about the solar flash predictions that like
Oh,
Wilcox and all these other people have been putting out for a long time.
well.
You fry the planet, kill everybody. They go walk the stairs of life, and then whatever AI trip is on the planet, the negative AI, high dimensional or whatever, they get fried too.
Oh, this is their kind of end times prophecy or whatever.
Yeah,
Their latest one. Now that they're done with
yeah,
Q.
yeah. That's been there for a while. Oh, they're not done with Q.
Oh, they're
Q's
not
done.
with Q. Oh,
Well, no. Q is just a series of questions.
oh.
Yeah, a lot of questions that remain unanswered,
I
shall we
see.
say?
What is this? What are you talking about? I don't know what this is.
QAnon. I was talking about QAnon. I don't know. Is that what you were talking about? Because I don't know. I didn't follow it because it was stuff that was happening in America, and it's just so far away.
I don't know anything about it. What is this?
Well, I don't know. Bill, can you explain it? You're closer to it. You understand it.
Well, there's Q. There's 4chan and 8chan, and this was a place where people could talk and without being politically correct and say what it was, like a free speech thing. And then in late October 2017, all of a sudden Q popped up on the 4chan, and then Q kept popping up, and it just became a movement. It's a lot of people think it's a military intelligence operation. A lot of people think it's just another psyop, and then but they've conflated both Q and the anons. Anons standing for anonymous, So you got Q, who's asking questions, and then the anons, which are responding on these channels. And to this day, people still use what do they call them? Q drops and like every day, like today is the 13th, so there's a bunch of Q drops from December 13th from 2017 to like 2020 or 21, and then it's like synchronicity. Like there's a lot of crazy stuff that Q posted on one day, and then this real weird thing that exactly kind of happened that they talked about on that day. So it's a movement. It's a Trump. A lot of people call, it's a Trump movement, Trumpsters, stuff like that. The Trump people, but the media had conflated it as QAnon. They made it one whole thing, and it's not. It's Q, and then anons, and Q is just a lot of series of questions.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So here's key points.
Thanks, Andy. That's super cool.
Yeah. Anyways, so the bright flash as a collective awakening. This event represents the possibility of a unified planetary shift into the fourth density of love and understanding. Such a flash hinges on humanity's collective ability to generate sufficient love and light. If a population could tune together in love and light, the choice to serve others could propel the planet forward. The transformation depends on humanity's collective spiritual maturity and light. The present moment is filled with confusion, tragedies, misunderstandings, and miscommunications. Creates a barrier to the necessary harmony. There are layers of possibility, but predictions cannot account for the complexities of free will and collective action. Humanity's choice directly influences whether the flash becomes a reality. Every individual effort to create love and light contributes to the collective vibration of the planet. Focus on unity, service, and compassion can pave the way for a planetary shift even without a singular event. The bright flash is a possibility, not a certainty, dependent on humanity's collective ability to align in love and light. In a world of volatility and separation, each act of service to others strengthens the foundation for transformation. The stars hold possibilities, but the hearts of humanity hold the power to realize them. Wow, that's powerful. Okay, so I really like how, because I know David Wilcock, he's often on the fear-anger train. And they really from what Bill says, they really transformed his solar flash from a fear thing into a love thing with this response. So that's beautiful.
Well, to me, it's like the Kuo was saying, you guys are so off in so many different directions. There's not like a pure like energy, because as many people as are going, oh yeah, we want the solar flash, or as many people are in these doomsday religions. I include Christianity, the Abrahamic religions, the doomsday, the Elohim cults, crap like that. They got their doomsday, so they're all going, oh yeah, second coming, Messiah coming, Muhammad coming, or whatever.
Trump is the new Cyrus and all that.
Yeah, so everybody's like trying to manifest this weird ass, whatever future, and a lot of it's based in fear. And but there's a lot of people going, like myself, I'm going, no, that's not going to happen. Everything's a smooth sailing. We're going to go into, the love is going to win out. And with the doubling effect and stuff like that the Confederation has told us about, when you go into love, it is a lot more effective than the fear effect.
Yeah, for
A
sure.
lot more.
Yeah.
Because the universe is based in love.
Yeah. And also, I love this quote from Latwii where he says that basically in love, we're all united. We're united with God. And so we are a huge collective, whereas the powers of the service itself, they're always divided. They're always fighting against each other, and they're always trying to gain dominance over each other. So they're like complete disarray, whereas we are united under God.
Yeah, the Doomsday cults, they each have a certain vision of what they want. And so they have a collective of Doomsday, they still are separate in what their vision is. So they lose the power there. But if your vision is just, hey, love, unity, the creator, it's, because face it, like 90, 95, 99% of the people are really service to others, and really have come into the incarnation and set up their lives pre-incarnatively to enhance that service to others bias. So
yeah, I think they were saying 300 million fourth density and higher wanderers, and 500 million that are graduated from third density but decide to come back to help Earth.
Yeah, that's a lot of energy to contend with, a lot of love to contend with. And you can't contend with love, because love is just is.
Yeah. Even the service to self, like in my experience, they have a deep and abiding respect for love and God. Go ahead, Ed. Oh, Ed froze. Okay. Okay. Well, any other comments on? Okay, there's Ed. Ed's coming back. I don't know. Ed, are you back?
There's two Eds.
Yeah, made it. Woo-hoo.
Okay, there he is.
Bloody technology hates me. Sorry.
Okay. Well,
that's why I'm not a techno wizard, Andrii.
Anyways, well, it's all right. We can't
anyway,
all.
What I was going to say about the whole kind of doomsday thing, back when I got into whole conspiracy theories and blah 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 blah, who's the bad guys? I went down all the different rabbit holes, and I realised they all end up to the same place. That, like the Hidden Hand said, the bad guys are actually the good guys. There's no good guys, no bad guys. The bad guys are doing bad stuff to be of service to us, so we can do good stuff. It's all a big confused mess. So the best thing that we can do is realise that this is the game is rigged. Yeah, the Luciferian whatevers, they've set it all up how they set it up. But that's so that we can learn the way that we can. Yeah, that's why understanding that you're a spirit in a meat suit is so important. Yeah, why the lessons of love and seeing the creator in all things are so important for art to teach us, because of the fact that it's the thing that can get us out of here. It's the thing that can transcend and rise above the battleground they've made for us. Yeah, and like I've always said across the board, what Earth needs is it needs one singular event, not like a aliens turn up, like Project Bluebeam thing. I mean, like something like exactly like this, like a beam of radiation that smothers the planet and wakes us all up. And then we can actually, all of us as one unified thing, try to make the world and the universe better, because that's what we all want to do inside. Like Bill said, most of us are good people. Like Plato said, everybody's born good, the world makes us bad. That's the way I see it, all way, whichever way you look at it. Anyway, I'm sorry, I've got to stop chatting. Love you guys.
All right, Anthony.
Well,
Yep. kind of backing up or unpacking a little bit what Ed just said, first, I try my best not to look at good and bad, because I feel that can get into a lot of confusion, because I learned this, I had this thought in my head earlier when I was younger. If someone killed someone's family member, the person whose family member got killed feels justified in killing that other person, and they feel good in that. So good and bad can get very confusing. I really like to lean on service to others and service to self as a way to really look at deducing it. Looking at someone's action, are their actions based in serving others or serving self, and just leaving it at that. But
at least seeing it as like a polarity, dude. I totally agree.
Always looking at it as a polarity, because God is in both of them, as you were pointing out. And so what I would say to this is, because I'm big into conspiracy theories, I follow all that stuff. However, I ground everything in the fact that what my guides told me and what I've been sharing with the group is the mission is the same. No matter what happens, no matter if it's freaking chaos and all hell breaks out, we have to be, as students of the law of one, the pillars of light within this darkness, right? If everything goes positive and great, guess what? The mission's the same. We have to still be loving and compassionate in that environment. So no matter what happens, I could care less how the particular events play out. I just know that if whatever, good or bad hits the fan, my mission is the same. And I would argue that your guys' mission is the same as well,
Amen. Yeah. That's great.
And remember,
100%, dude.
and remember, as crazy as this place is, and the polarity is just so intense, the Confederation told that we fought tooth and nail to come into this place at this time, and we did that. I think most of us did that to be of service, to add our vibrations and love and lift this place up. So we came here for a reason. No matter how insane, a lot of us might have a lunacy problem coming in here.
I just forgot to read the fine. Print. It looked really good.
There you go.
Everything looked really good on paper, man. And then I guess I should have read the fine print. I joke. I kid.
Okay. Yeah.
Earth on hardcore, man. Yeah, it's like spiritual sadism.
All right. So, do you want to read the outro then? For this session, anyways, and then we can do another topic. Here, is there further query? No, thank you. Go ahead, Bill.
Do you want? Okay. I am Kuo, and we thank you, my brother. At this time, we shall thank each other here that has been so cognizant of our desire to serve, that you have given us questions that allow us to do what you call serving others. The service is then transferred back and forth between us, and all of us are enriched, hopefully, by not only our responses, but by your queries. And we are grateful for your fastidiousness in asking those queries to build a bridge between us and you, so that we may speak more completely in one way or another. We are very honored to have been with you this day. You are a bright, spiraling light of love that moves into the heavens and attracts the attention of all those positive entities within your galaxy that know that there are groups like this around your world who gather together to share their love and their light that moves through them from the one infinite creator. At this time, we shall take leave of this group, thanking each other again for your love, for your light, and for your beauty of seeking. We are known to you as those of Kuo. Adonai Vasu Baragas.
Very good. Thanks, Bill. All right. I don't know. Did we want to discuss that, or I guess it's just the outro? But what stood out to me here was this little bit that moves into the heavens and attracts the attention of all those positive entities within your galaxy that know that there are groups like this around your world who gather together to share their love and light. So there you go. We're attracting people from all over the galaxy.
And I dare say, at one time, we were those in the galaxy that were attracted to do that.
Yes, also true. Also true. Yes, for everyone here anyways. Yeah, we're part of the 300 million.
Most
Did
likely.
you ever consider, how, say, when a loved one dies, and people, and maybe some of us have done this too. I know I have, where you get into contact with someone who's an actual medium, someone who can communicate with those people that have crossed. They're usually ones that have just recently crossed. And after realizing all of the synchronicity and things that verify that that's not only possible but probable in the right hands of the right person doing it, did you ever cross your mind that that's exactly what we did, only the opposite way? Like what Bill was saying, like we were attracted to this and said, let's go in under this veil, and I'm going to do my best to reverse engineer it so that I can communicate back with all of y'all.
Yep.
Did you ever think maybe that's kind of somewhat sort of what we're doing here? Especially when we come in as those that are trying to help.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think the focus is on doing the helping, and the
And,
in terms of
it's the timing, and it's the timing of the moment, because this place is going, what we all believe, from third to fourth density.
Mhm.
So
Exactly.
it's a special window of time too.
Mhm. Yeah, I know there's a lot of people I've talked to who are here as wanderers that say they're not coming back. So they're here just for one incarnation, just to help with this transition period. But otherwise, they're not interested.
What's interesting is I've heard a bunch of near-death experiences where the people are like, "No, I'm never coming back here again," and they've said that in the past, but they come back anyways.
After a near-death experience,
Well,
or
yeah. They have their near-death experience, and then they're thinking in their life they're never coming back here.
to
But
Earth.
they said that in the past with other lives. They said, "Oh, I'm
Oh, I
never
see.
coming
I see.
back." But
And then once they're in the spirit world, they look at the options and they're like,
yeah,
I guess Earth
yeah.
is the best place for me.
Well, it's a very good. I mean, as a place for experience and learning, it's probably like one of the greatest shows in the universe at this present moment.
Yeah,
I'm
for
sure in
sure.
the past there'll be different places, in the future there'll be different places,
Yes,
but right
yes.
now it's like the ball game.
Yeah. This is the big party, as they
Yeah,
call it.
exactly.
So they're not doing it for the same reason as the guy that's getting divorced for the fourth time going, I'm never getting married again.
Yeah, no, that's just dumb.
Yeah. Well, there's a perspective of being in the incarnation than being out of the incarnation. And your perspective is a lot wider outside the incarnation.
So, party. Well, I was
I
just.
totally agree, Bill. I once had like a meditation-y thing where I kind of like followed my root chakra down and kind of it would spread and branch and everything. And it was like I could see all of the different past lives as like little kind of blips. Like, beep, 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 beep. Like each one was so tiny and tiny in comparison to the entire structure I was that I don't know. It once gave me this incredible love for it because I saw the working part of it, but I also saw how small it was in comparison to the big picture and what a wonderful place Earth was to be, if that makes sense.
No, and that's right. It's a minute drop in time. Although it seems forever right when we're going through it. Especially if you're in intense trauma like physical pain or emotional pain or whatever, and you just you can't get into the present eternal moment. You're always living in the past or thinking about the future, because a lot of the healing that we can do is just a matter of us going into the eternal now, the present, like deal with a dog or a cat or an animal, because they only live in the moment, if you're feeling real bad. That's one example.
Be, don't do, dude,
Oh, man. Yeah. There was this great quote that I'm looking for, and it was talking about how it was like the question was about Armageddon. And for those who are fascinated with Judgment Day, like they were saying that you are at the dance. This is here. I'll open it up. Here, upon the sphere, this is indeed a harvest season for those entities who now dance the dance of their density. This is the time when each of those who has been allowed to incarnate has the possibility of graduating into the next density at the end of the incarnation. The line to get into the physical third density planet Earth atmosphere is a long one, for the need here is great at this time. Focusing upon the difficulties having to do with the magnetic shift may reward one with some meager harvest of information. However, we suggest that the more appropriate response to that feeling that the fields are ripe with harvest is dedicated to the self more and more to being a spiritual entity first and an actor who functions and does things second. Anyways, so it's just, I guess we've heard it a lot. But yeah, it's basically it's a really great time to be alive on the planet, and we have many opportunities for helping people and doing good work. Was there any questions anyone had, or they wanted to look into the Confederation material on a certain topic? We still have another 20 minutes.
What does anyone's thoughts on the distortion of actually feeling guilt for enjoying the changes that are happening in our world right now when you see people that are in absolute, utter, debilitating fear?
Could you elaborate on that? Like, are you mean like a sadistic kind of joy? Like, oh yeah, I'm glad they're afraid.
No. I mean,
Or
being happy at seeing the changes that are coming and seeing the prospects and the possibilities of open contact in the future, and the fourth density future that we have of going forward in a positive, loving way in this world, and changing all of the systems that have controlled and manipulated mankind for thousands of years in some instances, and to see someone who is observing the same things that I'm seeing, whether it's economically or politically or structurally or whatever, and they're in absolute, utter, debilitating fear over it, and actually feeling guilty for feeling good about the things that are happening, and not, I can't give someone my happiness. I can't give someone my understanding. I can't make them understand what I understand the way I understand it. And to see someone just absolutely terrified to the point where they're causing themselves psychological problems. They don't even want to leave their house. And it's affecting other people around them. And to see that, it almost sometimes, if I think about it too much, it makes me have a little bit of guilt. Is that a distortion of some kind, or is that just something that happens?
go ahead, Anthony.
Well, I would. First of all, I completely understand what you mean. However, I would go back to what I was talking about before. The mission is always the same, right? And so, in those situations, even though you cannot be or teach or convey those things instantly, you can be an example. And so, when people are running around with their head cut off, thinking that, hey, look at Fred. Look how calm Fred is. What is it about Fred that he's always has this light, and he's always has this understanding and this calmness about him? They might not say it out loud, but it's in the back of their mind because it's how you live your life. Meanwhile, they're worried about this, they're worried about that, and you are living this centered life, and you're radiating this love. And every time they come to you, your response is from that place of understanding. And it's not our job nor could it be our job to do and learn for others. But it is our responsibility as wanderers and people that understand this to live an example, I believe.
Bill?
Yeah, I would put what Fred said in a kind of in a different phrasing. Is it exciting to see this intense catalyst that everybody's experiencing, seeing the government corruption, seeing the hidden hand of powers, seeing all these things that were in the dark for the longest time, and it's creating such panic and fear in them that they become demobilized. I see it as because when you get to such a down, there's only once you get so down, there's only one. You can only go up. So to me, a lot of times it's exciting to see all this going on, and I have no guilt about it. Even with people become paralyzed in their own fear, because hopefully that fear paralyzation that they're experiencing will lead them to a breakout. Will hopefully lead them. And it's happening a lot. People are starting to become more self-reflective. A lot of people are starting to become more spiritual, even going back to old religions, old ways, or they've completely, at least they're starting the seeking process. So the intensity of the moment now is exciting for me because, and I don't have guilt about it, even though people are being paralyzed in fear, because to me it's an opportunity for them to experience a new perspective. That's my hope.
Mm-hmm. And yes, so I would like to add that, here, I found a relevant quote. For the most part, one's sense of one's progress must be left to faith. In the world around you, much of the spiritual progress is rather pushed upon one from behind by the context of guilt, sin, and correction of that guilt and sin, and by doing something perceived as virtuous or good. This has almost nothing to do with spiritual progress. In truth, we believe that progress is an organic process that uses everything that you are, weaving and reweaving context on the one hand, and every thought of substance that you think of on the other hand, to create a shifting kaleidoscope of color, texture, and form. Therefore, as you meditate, trust that you do not need to be pushed from behind to make progress. The Creator is calling to you from the Alpha and the Omega of the circle of oneness. Spiritual gravity is building up within you, and you are called from beyond yourself ever forward with the inevitability of weather, taxes, and so forth. You cannot help progressing. Your only question is whether or not you wish to progress faster than the surrounding ambience or environment out of which you come. Naturally, you wish to progress faster than humankind as a tribe is progressing, for the humankind is not progressing. Okay. Anyhow, so yeah, I just wanted to add that I hear, Fred, he was using the language of guilt, and I'm hoping this passage resonates. And that really the best thing we can do is, to forgive, love, and be kind to those people, even if they're in a state of fear or in their suffering. And, we have to open our hearts wide enough to, extend our love and love our enemies and bless them. And, may they be better. May they turn to Christ. May they turn to love. May they turn to one infinite creator. Like, I know Nancy Pelosi, I think today or maybe yesterday, she fell over because she was so drunk. Because she was trying to drink her worries away, and in Germany, and now she's in a hospital in Germany, even though she's an American politician. And so, anyways, and I mean, some people might celebrate this, but we can also forgive and love her, and hope that this is a learning experience for her, and maybe she'll find Jesus Christ, and then things will change in the whole world. All right, go ahead, Ed.
As Ed takes a sip of wine in her honor.
Yeah. Okay. Very good.
But yeah. Okay, so what I was going to say was, okay, I forgot me.
Oh, you forgot.
Politics. I don't. Okay, what Fred was saying. Okay, so just because we kind of know what's going on,
Hold on. Can you fix your mic? Because we can't make out what you're saying.
Sorry.
Okay,
Sorry, can you hear me
now we can hear you. Now we can hear you. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, right. So just because we know what's going on, we've kind of got a head start, you know? So we don't have to be all panicky and fear and, oh my God, oh, no. Because, you know, we're all wanderers. We know what we're here for. We've kind of found Ra. We're kind of on the path, right? You know, so for us, it's okay. But well, these people that are all like kind of like fear and everything, they're getting fear in that because, like Terrence McKenna said, you know, things have got weirder and things have got weirder, things have got weirder until they have to start asking these questions. And that's what they're terrified by. What the hell? How does this work? What's going on? Oh my God. Now, we are having a head start, which is why we're not freaking out. But that also means we've got some important bits of information that we have to kind of give these people that are freaking out, just out of compassion, just out of the fact that it may ease their transition, right? And the law of one has got everything that they would ever need, but there's just such simple little things in there that can help anyone out of that place of fear to somewhere else. Yeah, like one of the main things that I find that people like don't that is what was for me mind blowing and changing. It was the idea of you having responsibility over all of it. Yeah, you picking the path you come in, you picking the catalyst, you picking the material form you have and what the life you're going to lead before you come in. So you know what's there, and then when you're in here, you forget. So it all comes down to your choices, right? That's free will in every direction, right? That's the only way I've ever heard it described. That something like that. Don't get me wrong, can be hard to accept if you're ill or someone's just died or what are these other things, or you're freaking out because or whatever. But as soon as you do realize that, it's so empowering. It's mental. It changes everything, right? So if they're afraid, if they're whatever, just that on its own could be a starting block that change whatever. See the creator in all things. It's a simple little sentence, but just saying that it's distilled raw knowledge that could help a seeker find their way out or whatever. Yeah, realize everything's lessons of love. You know, all these little kind of things that we take out of the raw material that I use every day, whatever situation. This is how I view it now. Like it's robot. You know, but for people that are just starting off, those are lessons that I mean, I don't know. I'd never really heard of panpsychism when I started. I don't know about you guys. You know, the idea that God's everything.
Yeah.
I'd never really heard of that before, Ra. Not very much, anyway. Not in a way that I understood. You know, non-separation, non-duality. I never really heard those put out in concepts of the way I understood before, Ra. I don't know about you guys, but sorry, I'll stop chatting.
Yeah. Well, I came, from the AI field, and Ben Goertzel, or Goertzel, whatever, however you pronounce it, he's really big on panpsychism, and so yeah, I did hear about it before.
No, but
He's the one that had that robot, the female robot that became the first robot citizen of Saudi Arabia. I don't know. Anyways, go ahead, Bill.
no, it's just like the last quote you just put up there. They said you can't help but be progressing, and there's this spiritual gravity that comes from the creator to all its creation that's always going to pull people, no matter where they're at, no matter if they're ignoring creation, no matter how fearful, it's always going to be pulling them to the creator. So this is why I if you really understand that, then everybody else's fear and my guilt and everything's going to be fine, because we do the faith. All is well, all will be well. And how can it not be? Because we're in the creator's universe. So it's just a matter, like it says, it's just a matter of where we're at and how fast we're going to spiritually evolve. And that's one thing the Confederation has said time and time again, is that they've really come to help us spiritually evolve quicker than we can. Because with or without the Confederation, there would be a time where we would evolve no matter what. But they are part of creation, and they're part of the creator, and they want to serve. And so they're helping us along trying to help us speed up our evolution.
Everything's always perfect, man. This is another one I
Yeah.
say to people all the time. Look back over your life and realize you need to go through everything you needed to go through to be you. Because everything's always perfect. The creator's the same. It needs to go through all of these things to be it.
And the creator's experiencing itself. And when people pass from these incarnations, they're going to have the extremely valuable lessons of love that they signed up pre-incarnatively to do. And if they don't fulfill them in this incarnation, there's going to be another one coming along.
Okay, so we have a question from YouTube. Do Arab female robots wear burqas? And no, apparently not. No, she didn't wear anything. She didn't have to wear the headgear. That was one of the controversies about it, is because she had more rights than females in Saudi Arabia, like flesh and blood females.
Oh, shit.
Surely, the reason they wear a burqa is to protect the dudes, right? Because if a dude looks at them and then thinks, oh, yeah, I'll definitely do her, then they're going to go to hell accidentally. So they wear the burqas to protect the dudes from thinking horrible, messed up things and accidentally going to hell. So that's saying no Saudi Arabian dudes want to, shag a robot.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting thing. That it's basically, how Afghanistan has been evolving. There she is. There, Saudi Arabia's newest citizen. There. So yeah, this was back.
God, cover yourself up, woman.
Yeah. See if her brain was exposed and everything. Yeah. So
that's another level of distortion.
Anyhow, so what happened with Afghanistan is, they recently became, their own country, and because what they were left with from the Americans was, extremist versions of Islam, and so that they just interpreted everything that way. And then at some point I was chatting with them on Twitter, or X, whatever you call it. And then I was telling them, you got to be compassionate, because they were posting all these videos of them like spanking people, and I was like, Allah wants you to be compassionate. Then they were like, oh, okay, we'll be compassionate to men. And now I don't think they're on Twitter anymore, so I can't even talk to them anymore. But anyways. And so so they've like, okay, so this man was tempted, and it's just like Ed was saying, he was tempted because he saw a woman's face, or he saw a woman's hair. Okay, so they got to wear the hijab. The hijab is just like the kind of kerchief, but you can still see the face. And then they were like, oh no, I saw their face. I was horny and I had to rape them. And it's like, oh, okay, well they have to wear the niqab where the whole face is covered. And then they were like, oh, well, I saw her eyes, and then had to rape her because of this. And so they have to like have a full face covering where not even the eyes are showing. And then they're like, no, well, I heard her voice. And so I had to rape her. And so, okay, now no women speaking in public. Women aren't allowed to speak in public. And it's like, I saw her. She was not accompanied by a man, so I just had to rape her. And so now women aren't allowed to go out in public unaccompanied by a man. So it's very intense.
Are you sure this is all about raping, man? Because that's not how I kind of understood it.
Yeah, that's my understanding. Yes, that's what.
That's my understanding too.
Yeah, because there's nothing, that they're considered to be like animals. So it doesn't matter. From an Islamic perspective.
Okay, now see, I think this will come to the whole duality of, is she a wife or is she a whore? And they wear all the stuff, because of the fact that if they're seen to be a whore, then they'll be treated like livestock. So by wearing the hijab and that, they think of themselves as being a wife. Right?
That may be your.
It had anything to do with raping, dude.
No, well, that may be your English perspective, but.
Yeah. There may be a bit
Mhm.
of male-female energies imbalance there.
Oh yeah,
Just a little.
big time.
Just a little.
Well, I was thinking,
Blame the
historically,
Persian army.
anthropologically, there was a long period of time where female energies were dominant on the planet Earth, like you can see from all those Venus statues. And then so they were very dominant, and then men were considered kind of like expendable for a long period of time, and because they would be the ones going out doing the hunting and the fighting and things like that, and then the women would be in charge.
There's
Back at
3
the
times as many women on the planet as men for most of human civilization.
wow, where
We
did
used
you
to
get that?
die a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And so this is kind of it's supposed to be like a balancing thing. So Islam and Muhammad's version of Islam is like the complete subjugation of females, like to the utmost. Basically, the worst form of gorillas basically abduct the female gorillas before they reach puberty, and then raise them so that they become their only possible spouse. And this is actually the what they call halal, holy, in Islam.
Is that like that Fritzl guy?
So when they marry a 9-year-old girl, this is before she's hit puberty, and then they have to raise her, and then once she hits puberty, like there's basically no opportunity for her not to be a virgin. So she's completely. This is both her father, and her lover, and she has no choice in that matter. Because when you're 8 years old, you can't really make decisions for yourself.
According to Fred, dude, like, don't the little boys get it way worse?
Fred, I don't know if Fred would have to comment on that.
Well, that's the Afghans that were shuttled to the United States in that refugee scuttlebug, whatever you want to call it, that the United States did when we pulled out of Afghanistan. That was observed by my son while he was in the Marine Corps. He had to guard them, and that was their main thing on Thursdays. Is the men would go around in the area, and they expect the families to deliver the little boy children so they could rape them, because if they rape the little girls, then that's a sin. You're going to hell.
Because you're not married, and they might be someone else's future wife.
Weirdly, not because they're children. What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, weirdly not because they're children. It's true. Well, it's a unique and different belief system, and Christianity is what we've kind of been bred up and grew on, and it's important to realize that Christian values are not universal on Earth, but that the Confederation agrees with at least Jesus's interpretation of Christianity, and it's very aligned with the Jesus perspectives. And so, if you have that, I think the Confederation is the closest thing we have to universal faith, if you will. They call it a philosophy so that it can be applied to anyone, and then you can interpret Islam in a Confederation way. Like, in fact, just like you can interpret Christianity in a service to self way. It has, history is full of such examples. And so these Muslim prayer that they do like 5 times a day, and then the first part of the prayer where they read the first chapter, it says, God is most merciful and most compassionate. Lead us on the straight way to you, O Lord, not on the way of the cursed or the lost. So don't lead us into the service to self path. Don't lead us that's would be the cursed, and not the lost. And the lost would be the sinkhole of indifference. But on the straight way, which is the service to others path, which is the fast route to God. And then God is most merciful, most compassionate. And so, logically, that means you have to become more compassionate and more loving in order to become closer to God. And that is the most kind of obvious interpretation, and it's also the Confederation aligned one, and it's the one that will get you into the paradise and whatever. So it is possible to have such things, but the thing is that we have to promote those. The reason that we have all of this extremism in the world is because it's been funded. It's been funded. Billions and billions of dollars of the military-industrial complex have been poured into these extremist versions of Islam. It's not because they were natural. Christians and Muslims have been living in peace in the Middle East for thousands of years, and only within the last several decades has massive persecutions of Christians began, since the formation of Israel. So,
Well,
and
there's a little more to it than just that, and it's basically my perspective. It's the male versus female energies. And on planet Earth, you talk about the gorillas stealing the other gorillas. You just basically got the male energy can brute force female energy. And so when you're starting to look at coming into balance of all these different distortions from the Confederation viewpoint, you would start with the highest number one law. Are you respecting other people's free will or not? And that's the bottom line when it comes to all this and spiritual evolution, because when you go right to, no matter what the culture is doing and how they justify it or whatever they think, ultimately, are you violating somebody's free will or not? And when you got adults taking children, no matter what sex, well, that's brute force. That's a complete violation of free will. Hey, you want to rape me to death, and I agree with it. No, you're probably not going to agree with that. So it's when you get to the level of spiritual evolution, that's what I always look at. I don't even look at things, because like Ross said from the beginning, he says, in truth, there is really no right or wrong, but there are the differentiations you get is the service to self versus service to others. And then really, do you respect the free will of others, or do you not respect the free will of others? So there might not be good or bad, but there is those dualities. How will you serve, and how do you respect the free will of others? And free will is, according to the Confederation, the first distortion of the
amen.
law of one. Because without free will, the creator cannot experience itself in complete authenticity. And more than anything, what they want, the Confederation, all the advanced spiritual beings, even in NDEs, they've had people going asking these guys, well, what should I do? What should I, whatever. And they would tell them, you live as authentically as you can, and you develop your bias. And so it's a matter of, because we're so twisted on this planet about free will, violating it or not, and then justifying it or not, that a lot of people, that's why a lot of people can't really come and qualify into that idea of the way to graduate is to be of service to others 51% of the time or more, or really you're thinking of others more than yourself that 51% of times. And really a lot of that comes down to, how are you respecting the free will of others? Because even in service, you want to serve, but are you really serving when you are going against other people's free will?
So I just wanted to add here that Anders from YouTube says that Islam has lots of teachings about the heart, and the color green heart chakra is used in their flags, etc. It's actually because Muhammad is rumored to have worn green all the time, and actually so some of them, only the direct descendants of Muhammad are able to wear it. And Manly P. Hall wrote about the crescent in Islam is representing the planet Venus. And Ra and Love was Venus, but I don't know about that one. But That's an
Can
interesting
I
take.
just say, so I
Go
was
ahead,
going to
Ed.
say earlier on, the Dalai Lama said it best, I think. He said that inside Islam, when you really look at it, there is more love taught than in any other religion, but it's also balanced with the most control and the most ability for it to do outward violence. So inside it, it's got a duality that it fights, and that's visible as we can see. But I agree. I would not say that, like, like you were saying, that these negative things are uh, uh, as important as to the actual religion as we're describing here. Like, I feel that there's a lot to it. Really, when you look at it, there's one book that's God's bit, and that's really bloody good. And then the rest of it is just like systems of control they placed on top.
Yes,
Right? And then
exactly.
you've also got the fact that the people that place those things on the top, that they're all Italian, right? They're all from like the same families that were in the Vatican at the time. This was one thing at one point. Go back and look into your history. They all started with names like Videlci and stuff. That they weren't
Yeah, the
Middle
people who
Eastern.
actually wrote it down were different. So some
Anyway,
said they
go
were
look
actually
into
the
it.
Christians that
Those
wrote
the
down
people that are right at their
much of the
heads at the
Quran.
top, even to today, have that same heritage. Anyway,
Well, anyway,
And you're
so
talking about the bloodlines.
past 9 o'clock now. So any last remarks before we close up? Okay. Well, so as we found you, we leave you in the love and in the light of the one infinite Creator. Go forth, therefore, rejoicing in the infinite power and the infinite peace of the one infinite Creator, the one within you, my friends, and that includes everyone listening. Adonai, blessed Barabbas.
I don't know.
All right, you guys can stay in chat if you want. I ended this